So today we're going to be talking about the only 3 things that you need to focus on for Amazon FBA success. Now, as somebody that's been selling on Amazon since December of 2015, and I've sold millions of dollars of products on the platform as well as some other ones, I have gone through the ups and downs of what is required to succeed on this platform, and I've trained thousands of other people as well. And so I see consistent issues as well as consistent successes, and I want to make sure that people are focused on the right things, because it's easy to get distracted with all of the other things you have to deal with in an Amazon business, when really the only 3 things that you need to be most focused on to make sure that you're succeeding on the platform. Now, if we're to zoom out here, let's go ahead and pull this up. There are all these different things that we have to focus on within an Amazon business. You've got sourcing and purchasing. You've got creating standard operating procedures as you're trying to learn and grow and scale. You've got scaling teams if you're looking to build out a prep and ship team, or sourcing with virtual assistants, or sourcing locally. You've got getting reimbursements from Amazon. As they've changed rules recently, we have to do this every 2 months, and so this is another activity or a task. There's managing sales and making sure that you're dealing with discounts and trying to maximize your profitability. You've got obviously shipping and restocking and inventory management so that you don't miss out on the things that are your replenishable items. You've got software, continual learning, and community involvement. A lot of sellers, myself included, believe in the power of continuing to learn and grow while also being involved in a community that we can learn from. Handling cases with seller support. This one is a full-time job for some virtual assistants as well. So, I mean, this is a big one. Account health and managing your cash flow, trying to deal with the financial side of this business, tracking your leads so that you can have a system or just a backlog of items that you can purchase from month to month, dealing with new ideas that can distract you. In this online space, there are all these different ideas that come your way. And so it's easy to get distracted and just pull your focus away from the Amazon business. And then keeping up with terms of service. There's tons of other things as well, but these are the ones that came to the top of mind whenever I was thinking of the activities that we have to do as Amazon sellers. And so the 3 things out of here that are most important always come back to this one fact, which is that inputs will always lead to the outputs that you're getting. And so when we're looking at all of these activities, what are the things that become the inputs that are the most important in your business that will lead to your ultimate goal of those outputs that you're hoping to get, whether it's a sales goal, a profit goal, a time freedom goal? Ultimately, we have to be looking at what is this output that we want and what are the inputs that get us there. And so for most people, that's hitting $10,000 per month in sales, $50,000 per month in sales, $100,000 per month in sales. And ultimately, every one of those goals comes down to these same 3 things. Now, the very first one, I'm sure you probably guessed it by now, is sourcing and purchasing. The way to succeed with Amazon, the way to grow your Amazon business, is by sourcing and purchasing items on a continual basis so that then you can have those products sell over time, right? If you are purchasing $1,000 a month of inventory, you're never going to hit $100,000 per month in sales. It's just not going to happen. And so ultimately, if your goal is to sell $10,000 per month, you need to be purchasing approximately $3,000 to $4,000 a month in inventory to hit that goal. And then if you're trying to hit $50,000 per month, probably need to be buying about $20,000 per month in inventory, right? So these are the things that we have to be focused on. It's easy, especially as newer sellers, that we want to distract ourselves from time to time. We want to focus on all these other things down here, evaluating our software, trying to get reimbursements from Amazon, trying to handle cases with seller support. And while all of these activities are important, we a lot of times will do them to pull ourselves away from the fact that we just need to go out, we need to source, we need to purchase items. And then the second thing, which is most important after sourcing and purchasing, is shipping. And so you need to ship these items in. I know whenever I was a newer seller, I loved the sourcing and purchasing part, and I hated the shipping part. But shipping was just a part of the job, right? We had to get out there. We had to make sure that we were buying enough product. But then you also have to send these items to Amazon so that Amazon can then sell them in our Amazon account. And so this is the next important piece, right? If you focus on just these 2 items, you'll be fine. You can have a good Amazon business. These 2 things really are the driver of those inputs that lead to the outputs that we're hoping to achieve in our Amazon business. So sourcing and purchasing, very first thing that you have to do. You have to get good at that. And yes, there are details that go into it, such as reading Keepa charts and how do you find replenishable items and how do you deal with some of those discounts and sales and tracking every lead that comes your way, that kind of a deal. But ultimately, if you can just buy good inventory and you can send good inventory in, your Amazon is going to do very well. And so I just want to remind you, these are the 2 things things that if you are struggling right now and you're looking at all of these different activities plus a bunch of other ones that probably could have been put onto the screen, ultimately just bring it back to the basics. And the basics are you need to buy stuff and you need to send it in. These two things, focus on that and you'll be good to go. Now, there is a third one that I actually believe is very important to focus on for FBA success, which would be account health. Now, I know this is a little bit of an odd one because it doesn't really lead to those inputs that ultimately lead to the outputs, but you do need to make sure that your account is healthy. And so you have to make sure that you're listing on the right listings. You have to make sure that you are dealing with some account management stuff such as stranded inventory or suppressed buy boxes. This is a key component, but most of the time, this is going to be 5 minutes in your day of just double checking a few things in your account. And then if for whatever reason you do get some sort of an account violation or you have some stranded inventory to deal with, maybe it takes 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the day to deal with that. Or if you use a legal service that helps you with those account health things, you can outsource that. But ultimately, these three things are what's going to lead to the success, the outputs, the goals, the results that we want. If you are focused on buying items, sending them in, and then dealing with any account health issues that come up, those three things, you're going to far succeed the people that are only focused on all these other items. And yes, if I were to look at some of these other items, creating standard operating procedures, that is a byproduct of trying to scale a business in all of these areas. You can create standard operating procedures while you're doing these, right? You don't have to worry about this as a separate task. Restocking and inventory management, ultimately, that just goes back to sourcing and purchasing. Managing your cash flow, that is a definite aspect of this, but that goes back to sourcing and purchasing, right? If you have $1,000 to spend, you need to be focusing on the best items to source and purchase and send into Amazon so that then you can have the best cash flow possible as you get the sales that result from it. If you're looking to scale your team, right? All of these are the first three things that you should be looking to scale your team with, not in any particular order, but just those three things. Software, yes, you can evaluate that, but there's really not a ton of software that you need to run a profitable Amazon business. And I've done videos on this channel for the best software programs that you need. Tracking leads, that goes back to sourcing and purchasing. Getting reimbursements from Amazon, that can sometimes fall under account health, but this is something that can be outsourced on a commission basis so that you don't have to deal with it and you don't have to pay anything unless somebody else finds you reimbursements, right? Continual learning and community involvement. This one is key, I believe, to supporting these issues, right? As you have questions that come up and you're part of a community, then you can go ahead and ask questions about these three things or any of these other items. But ultimately, if you are looking for a free community, I have links down below, or even paid communities if you want to check those out in my channel, that's fine. I have ones that I highly recommend so that you can ask those questions, but this is an important piece. It's just not one of these three items that ultimately lead to your outputs. It supports these three items as best as possible so you can succeed at a higher rate typically. Dealing with new ideas that distract. This one, if at all possible, just delete that, right? You don't want to deal with that too often. But to me, this is something that we all have to deal with, but it does not support your end goal. And so if you're trying to succeed with Amazon, you realize you're getting distracted on a day-to-day basis by new things that come your way, either from a YouTube channel or elsewhere, then ultimately just get rid of it and focus on buying items, sending them in, and then dealing with any account health issues that come up. Things like managing sales or discounts from different stores, as well as handling cases, keeping up with Amazon's changing terms of service from time to time. All of that are the little details that can get in your way and can kind of fog your mind a little bit. And ultimately, just remember, these three things are all that you need to succeed on Amazon. All these other little details are going to be there. But if you just focus on, okay, what do I need to source today? Sometimes to source today is restocking and inventory management because you want to replenish your items. Sometimes it's getting new leads into your system or going back into your old leads that you have in Replen Dashboard or some other software tool, right? Sometimes it's just going out and sourcing new product, but ultimately it deals with sourcing and purchasing. And then after that, okay, what do I need to do the next day to ship out all of these items? That's fairly simple. It does take some hard work, but that's the next thing that you have to do, because if you don't ship them in, it's just money laying in a pile on the floor at your house or wherever you have these items stored. And then the third thing is account health, and that's just a nice little, typically 10-minute check a day just to see how things are going. And if there's an issue that comes up that you have to deal with, then maybe it's an hour in your day. But these three things are all you have to focus on. If you're sourcing enough, you're shipping in enough, and you handle any account health issues, your Amazon business will most likely be fine. All these other details support these three or are distractions that over time you should try to outsource so that ultimately you aren't dealing with all of these things and you're only focused on these 3 items. So if you were to build out essentially a business, an enterprise of an Amazon business that succeeds really well, you would want to build out a sourcing team, a shipping team, and an account health team. And those are the 3 things that you need to focus on, because everything else flows to these. If you have any questions about these 3 things, or if you have any other recommendations that you think there should be a 4th or a 5th thing that is a requirement that you have to focus on to succeed with Amazon FBA, post them in the comments below. I would love to answer any questions, and I'd love to see your feedback on it. I hope this video helps you and blesses you. You have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.